girl T. I want to shout out 3A4C Natural. She sent me this story a few days ago on YouTube, and I've been keeping up with the story. If you guys haven't heard, a 6-month-old baby was killed in Chicago, and this situation is just so sad. So basically what happened is that the little girl's father, he was changing the little girl's diaper outside his minivan, and somebody walked up on him and shot him 5 or 6 times, and they ended up shooting the baby as well. He was in critical condition, but he's not been listed as serious condition, and they're saying that he's cooperating with the police. And the little baby just died the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a news clip, and then I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Seeing little kids is not the good thing, you know.
Southside Pastor Corey Brooks, spokesman for 6-month-old Janila Watkins' family, fighting tears after learning the baby died of her gunshot wounds.
We're totally taken back and saddened by the whole event.
When these events happen, we have to look at the circumstances and the backgrounds of the individuals that are involved. And in this case, it's pretty clear.
Clear to Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy that Janila's father, 28-year-old Jonathan Watkins, he describes as having a long criminal history, was the shooter's target.
Although there's a lot of angles that we're pursuing, there are very strong gang overtones to this particular event.
Janila was shot 5 times after her father had pulled over to change her in the front passenger seat of this minivan. It all happened yesterday afternoon on the 6500 block of Maryland in the Woodlawn neighborhood. After learning she died, Janila's mother and other family members left Comer Children's Hospital this morning without speaking, instead using Southside Pastor Corey Brooks as their spokesperson.
The city of Chicago should be outraged that in our city, a 6-month-old baby could be shot and killed. It's horrific.
This is a sobering reality that we have a lot of work to do.
Jonathan Watkins is in serious but stable condition at the hospital. In the meantime, police are still unsure whether he'll cooperate as a witness. Pastor Brooks pleads for Chicagoans, especially people in Woodlawn, to speak up so police can track down who shot innocent 6-month-old 5 times.
If there ever was a time where we all have to speak out and vocal and do something about what's going on, it's a day like today.
Okay, so you guys just watched the news clip, and the whole situation is very disheartening. I've been one of the few people on YouTube that's been talking about the violence in Chicago and how we just need to do better as a people. And this whole situation is just very sad when a 6-month-old can lose their life. Upon further investigation of the story, I want to just kind of, bring up some things that the news is not reporting, that wasn't shown in the clip. But the mother of this little girl, she's a 20-year-old, and she was shot while she was pregnant with this little girl. She was shot in the leg. And she survived. She was able to have the baby. And then, less than a year later, her daughter gets killed. This whole situation is just very sad. I can only imagine what that young woman is going through. Especially being a young mother. She was shot. By a miracle, her and the child lived. And then for the child to be taken away from her is just sad. It's also been reported that the dad is also a gang member. You know how I feel about the situations. Like, I know a lot of people who are in gangs and who gang bang, and then they want to change their life around. And I will say is people shouldn't join gangs, people shouldn't gang bang, but I understand in certain areas, it doesn't matter if you join or not. We've had kids call into the radio show and say, you know what, I live in Chicago, I lived in this area, I never wanted to be a gang, but because I live there, they told me you are part of this gang. So I think we need to realize that not everybody's joining gangs because they want to, because they think it's cool. Sometimes it's because of the neighborhood that they live in. And what's sad is, when a lot of people gang bang and they get involved in gang activity, you do dirt. And sometimes that dirt can come back to not only haunt you, but haunt those around you. What I will say is this. If you want to change your life around and you want to get out the gang lifestyle and you want to leave it alone because you're trying to start a family, they were just recently married, I think you have to move outside your environment. I can't stress that enough. You can't do dirt in a particular area. You can't gang bang. You can't be the stick-up kid and then think that those people that you did things to may not come back and get you. I don't think, and I'm not making excuses for the killers. I'm not making excuses for this situation because my heart broke and I damn near cried when I heard this story. Because no child, especially a 6-month-old, I have a 5-month-old nephew. My little nephew just turned 5 months on the 10. And, he's about this big, and for a bullet to hit a 6-month-old child, I can just imagine the damage of the cost of that baby. But what I want to say is that we have to be smart. We have to make better decisions, if you're going to live that lifestyle and you decide to change, you have to get away. You have to move. You have to get out that neighborhood. You got to get away from them influences. But I just wish that this whole situation did not happen. We have to make better decisions on who we have children by. We have to make better decisions on what we choose to do in life, because you can do certain things in life and it can come back not only to affect you, but to affect those around you. My heart goes out to this family. My heart goes out to that young woman. My heart goes out to the father. Nobody deserves to bury their child, especially at such a young age. But the whole situation is just sad. It just shows you how much Chicago is still spiraling. We had the whole Hadia situation, and shortly after that, another young lady was killed, who was a young mom, and now her baby is motherless. So you have a lot of just senseless stuff going on, and not only Chicago, but all over the country. I also want to take note, too, that Derrick Rose is also going to be paying for the funeral. I'm going to go ahead and play you this clip real quick as well.
Bulls guard Derrick Rose has approached the funeral home through his agent to offer to pay for some of the expenses, at least, of the funeral. News Radio spoke briefly with the agent, who said he did not want to discuss it. Steve Miller, News Radio 780 and 105.9 FM.
And I think what Derrick Rose is doing is outstanding. He also paid for little JoJo's funeral back in September. And Derrick Rose has ties to the Inglewood neighborhood. He grew up in Inglewood. But I just wish that people would come together, maybe, put up money for a rec center, put up money for job programs. When people have no jobs, they have no work, and they can't bring in, sustainable income, they're going to turn to doing dirt. They're going to turn to gangbanging and selling drugs and robbing folks. I just feel like there needs to be more opportunities in that area, because if you notice, most of the crime that's happening in Chicago is happening in the Inglewood area, in the South Side. It's not as rampant in the other parts of Chicago. So it says a lot for that area, and I think that they need to really go down and figure out what is going on. Nobody has respect for life anymore. For a man to be changing his child's diaper and somebody take that as an opportunity to try and kill him, not taking into consideration that the child could be hit, this is sick. This world is getting worse and worse, and this whole story just really, really saddened me. My hearts go out to the family, and they're my prayers. I just hope that little girl rests in peace. She's such a beautiful little girl. I mean, just adorable. I don't even know what to say anymore about the situations and about all the stories coming from Chicago and all over the country. But, you just got to pray every time you walk out your door. Pray that you make it to your destination and pray that you make it back to your family. So go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the entire situation. All right. Peace.